Good
Hey,
morning.
hey, let's do this.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. I'm Amanda Todd, and I am really excited to be interviewing or co-hosting with Wayne Salmans. He is an amazing coach. He was top 30 under 30 in the nation. He's coached over 5,000 agents. He previously was with Keller Williams and would coach the Bold coaches. So if you're familiar with the Bold program, it's an awesome program, and he basically ran it, it sounds like. So Wayne, take it away. We're super happy to have you here today.
Well, first off, I wish that I had read. I was just one of those. I loved that program while I was involved. It was awesome. So, thank you for having me here. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. I love what you guys are doing, and obviously, I've been a big fan of the community for a long time. So, I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. We're super excited to have you. So I think when people are coming out of winter time like this, they're kind of dull and stagnant, kind of losing, we have passed January and a lot of people have kind of forgotten about some of those New Year's resolutions that they've made.
Uh-huh.
Talk to us a little bit about how we can kickstart. The weather's starting to get a little nicer. It's, the season's heating up for our industry. What are some of the things people can do to really kickstart and remind themselves about some of those New Year's resolutions they made?
Yeah, no, totally. So here's what I realized, and I think what got me kind of passionate about this subject was, for years I was selling at a really high level, and I would have those moments, right? I'd be like in the zone and in momentum and in like everything felt awesome, whatever it is. And then it was like, this sucks. How do I get started again? Right. And I would have like these ups and these downs, and it was just like the only thing consistent was that I was a yo-yo, right? Like, and it was brutal. You know what I mean? I would have like these amazing, I'm in the zone, I'm whatever, right? I'm just on fire. And then I would have these weeks or whatever it was like, this is horrendous. I think I should just go back to like selling cats or something. Like, it was just terrible. You know what I mean? And I didn't know what to do. And then I got some stability there, but then I got out of that, and then I started coaching, real estate agents. And, like you said, I've coached like thousands of real estate agents, and I realized how many of them, like I wasn't the only one, right? Like if I was crazy, it's cool because like we're in a group of crazy, so we're all in this thing together. But like I realized I wasn't the only one, and I began to see like the stress and the pain that this put on everybody. You know what I mean? And I couldn't really quantify what like momentum and in the zone was. I just knew I had it sometimes and I didn't have it other times. So it kind of led me on this journey of like figuring out how do I do this? And I think for a lot of times I was looking kind of at external things, right? I was like, this has happened in the market, or somebody else did this, whatever. And then I had to realize like, nobody's going to help me with this. Like I've got to figure this out on my own and do it for myself, And so I think that's really what was interesting. I'd hear a lot of people say, well, I'm paraphrasing, they would say, I'm out of momentum because, my spouse is being mean to me, or because the market's doing this, or whatever it was. And the more and more I heard that, what I realized was like, this is an internal thing. And my whole thing is like, be your own hero. And what I realized was that I needed to help equip people to deal with this on their own and not worry about the external stuff. So that's kind of like what started me on all this craziness. So.
I love it because it is so true, especially if you're a solo practicing agent. You can be super busy and super on top of the world because you've got, several deals going at once. And then once those close, you're like, now what? I got to
exactly.
Yo-yo effect that I've got a ton of deals and I don't have time to be getting new ones. And then once these close, then I'm back down. And then I got to get the momentum going again. And then and so it's really making it a lot more stable. And I like your analogy of selling cats. I don't think I've ever contemplated selling cats, but
I think that was the first one. We're not sure where that came from. So you never know. I just want to keep my options open,
There are times though where it's like, man, a steady 8 to 5 with a salary can look appealing sometimes.
Yeah.
Because just, and so I really love, and I'm excited to hear what you are going to have to say about really how to just make it more consistent, and how the external factors really only play a part, that it really does come from right here.
Yeah. So, and I totally agree with you. So, I mean, I wrote down kind of several different things that I think are kind of common threads that I think take away our momentum, and on the flip side of that, give us momentum. So I'll just kind of jump into those if that's
go for it. Let's hear them.
Okay, awesome. All right. So here's the first one, and I think this is huge. Like this lack of clarity. And I believe that like clarity is the most powerful thing we have. And when we have clarity on where we're going and why we're going there, that's incredibly powerful. You know what I mean? And yet when we're on the other side of that, when we're just kind of going through the motions or putting in the 9 to 5 or whatever it is, it's incredibly disempowering. And I heard a quote once where somebody said, there's no such thing as lazy people, just people with an uncompelling future. So when I encounter people that are, appearing lazy or whatever it is, it's usually because they don't have a compelling future or they don't believe that they can do anything to change their future. You know what I mean? So I think the first thing is like, do you know where, like when you wake up in the morning, do you know where you're going, and do you know with absolute certainty what the most important things are that you're doing throughout that day? What are, I call them my musts, right? What are the 3 musts that I have to do that if I do those consistently, it leads to the end? And I think that, one of the things I do with my clients, that it's a big project, but, we go through where they want to go at the end of their life, and we back all the way down to like the year, and then we back that all the way down to like the day, you know what I mean? It's like, how do we make today matter? So I think a huge thing is just lack of clarity. People are like, I want to make money, but they haven't gone through the clarity process to figure out what they need to do today to make what they want to make, all of that. So I think that's the big one. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you on your musts? And how are you executing on those? So I think that's a big piece.
Well, because the hard things come in life, and if you're super clear on what those musts are, it doesn't matter what's coming at you. Those musts are, I call them non-negotiables in my life. They're going to happen regardless of what rain is pouring down on me.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that steals a lot of people's momentum is they're either they don't know if they're doing the right things or not. And the other thing that steals momentum is they're doing too many of the wrong things. And I heard, so I can't remember who said, but they said there's nothing worse than seeing someone do incredible at a job that they shouldn't be doing in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see that with real estate agents all the time. It's like they are the best flyer makers in the history of the world. And why the heck are you making a flyer? You know what I mean? So like, just because you're working hard, it's like that Jim Rohn quote, right? Just because you're moving, like a rocking horse moves all day long, and the rocking horse doesn't actually go anywhere. And, so are you doing the must? Are you being effective and efficient in that? So I think that's a big one. Like, do I know that what I'm doing today matters and is in alignment with where I'm going? So I guess that'd be number 1. Number 2, and I think this is a big one. So, and I think like even on in our group, here's a big thing that happens. How many people jump in this community and then start beating the crap up out of themselves because they look around and everybody else is doing better, right? So I think number 2 is like comparison is the biggest stealer of joy and momentum. I think when you're comparing yourself to others, it steals your joy and it steals your momentum. And I mean, how many people start out the day by opening up their phone? The first thing they do is scroll through Facebook or Instagram, and they compare like their real life against somebody else's highlight reel. And like, according to Instagram, like every one of my friends is on vacation at all times, right? Every one of them is doing better in business. Every one of them has a perfect, relationships, on and on, right? Like comparing ourselves to other, like beats the crap out of us. So I think that you've got to switch that and use, for me, it's the realization there's always going to be people doing better, right? And that's awesome. I'm going to use them as inspiration, not necessarily comparison.
Right.
And I used to compare myself to other people as if we were playing the same game. And then I had to realize like we didn't start at the same place. We're not actually wanting to go to the same place. It's like I'm playing Monopoly, they're playing chess. I'm trying to compare the two. And exactly. So,
And I think an important component behind that is building up your own self-confidence so that you can celebrate someone else's successes rather than feeling like someone else's successes diminishes your own success.
Yes.
And so having that mindset that there's enough success to go around for everyone, I feel like is going to change that a lot, so that when you see your friends that perpetually seem to be on vacation, you can be super happy for them and say, you know what, that's actually something I want to add to maybe some of my musts, or something that, maybe can actually help you gain clarity in something you want, instead of being jealous, which actually in the long run will take away from you. Use that, to really gain clarity. That is something I really want out of my life as well.
Yes. And then like, ask, maybe you reach out to the person, you go, how are you doing it? Like, I'd love to know, how did you sell 600 houses last year with a small team and you went on vacation 4 times? Like they're not smarter than you. They're just using different tactics.
Exactly.
Or they're asking better questions. So it's like, use that as inspiration, not necessarily comparison. So
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Definitely. I love it. All right. Let's hear some of your other awesome points. I'm loving these so far.
Okay, a couple others. Here's a big one, and I think we could spend like 17 hours on this, but I'll give you the short version. A big one is not. Let me say it this way. What would it take for you to have an incredible year? So I ask agents all the time. I go, what would it take for this to be the best year of your life? And I get kind of all these surfacey answers usually. But what I hear underneath everything, if I keep drilling, is most people say, in order for this to be the best year of my life, it would have to be a year where I didn't have a whole lot of financial problems. I didn't have like health problems. All my relationships were good, right? And they can start going down this list. And the problem with that is like, you're screwed. Like, you're gonna have some problems this year. You know what I mean? Like if my goal is to have no problems, I'm screwed. Like, it's going to be a terrible year because we know stuff's gonna show up. You know what I mean? And so somebody called it dead people goals, right? Like, the only people that have no problems and no stress and no whatever are dead. So like, that's the only way to achieve that goal is to just, go 6 feet down. So here's what I think is interesting is reevaluating how we look at problems. And I think when you feel as though problems are thrust upon you, it steals your momentum. When you've chosen your problems, it actually raises your momentum when you kind of reframe what a problem is to you. So imagine, how many agents do you hear, and I've been guilty of this, right? They go, man, I can't believe my buyer had, bought a truck before they're supposed to buy their house. I can't believe these people have a credit score issue. I can't believe these people, right? They're complaining about I can't believe the bank is all these issues, right? Here's what if you're watching this, here's what I want you to grasp. You're paid to solve problems. And if your people didn't have problems, you wouldn't have a job, right? Like, if there weren't big problems, everybody could use, house whatever, free whatever.com, and they wouldn't need a realtor. Because there's big problems, they actually need us. And it's like it's like a mechanic that says, I can't believe people keep bringing broke cars to my shop. Like, what the heck is wrong with people that they bring their cars that have all these issues, right? Like, I hate this, right? You would go, what is wrong with you? Like, you're a mechanic. This is what you do. And I think sometimes as realtors, it's like, yeah, there's big, crazy, terrible, right, fantastic problems. You chose this. So I think a big part is like reframe, like, get excited about the problems and realize the harder the problems you solve, the more income you're going to make. You're going to be rewarded in proportion to the size of the problem you actually tackle. So I think it's recognizing like problems are actually fantastic. And when you look back, even Amanda, like when you look back on your life, what are you most proud of? And my guess would be some of the stuff you're most proud of is like big, hairy obstacles you overcame.
Yeah.
Like big problems, like times that sucked and you figured it out.
Definitely. Well, and I would say too, for me, the problems that I've overcome were especially like transactionally related problems.
Yeah.
I love that because it just makes me a better agent for several reasons. One,
yeah,
especially early on in my career. I mean, I'm only 5 years into my career, but especially early on, I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful that I helped my client come through this problem. And now I know the warning signs so I can have this problem off before it becomes a problem. So if you look at it, like you're saying, reframing those problems into experiences and an education that just makes us of more value to our clients. Again, I mean, it's all about that mindset and how you frame, okay, what am I going to learn from this situation? How can I help this client? And how can I take the education that I've gotten from this situation to put it into my playbook in my business on how I can be of even more value to clients?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think that's so, if you hate the problems you have, go get a different job. But like you chose these problems and get excited about them. Get excited about being a problem solver. And the reality is everybody has problems. You know what I mean? I've coached enough people to know that everybody's got to deal with something, even if you don't know about it. And you probably wouldn't want to trade places with most people, right? Most people are going to have something. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I really think it is super important around your mindset, around your problems, because one in my life, and you and I haven't really ever had the opportunity to chat, but I started into this business as a single mom after having been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And so for me, now I can look back on that and say, oh my gosh, I am so thankful I was given that mountain to climb and climbed it so that I could show other people it's possible to climb that mountain. You know, there's some people who actually built their businesses up through the recession. Was it easy? No. But I, love to look at them and say, okay, what can I learn from the obstacles that they overcame? Because like you said, problems are going to come to all of us. So, what can we do to educate ourselves to become better, to do better, so we can help other people through those obstacles? Because it's not if, it's when they're going to face them.
Yeah, and I think it's so critical to have that mindset. And I think sometimes you got to remind yourself of that, right? And I remember, years ago, I went through one of the toughest times of my life, literally hit rock bottom, lost everything to the point where it almost took my life. And what I remember going through that time was, and I said, like, if I can make it through this and get back up, like, there's some lessons I'm going to learn here that I can share with other people. And that was kind of my promise. Like, if I learn some stuff here, I'm going to share them with people when I get back up. And it's been really powerful. I don't want to do it again, but I'm grateful for the lessons I learned going through there. You know what I mean? So
there are so many things that I would never want to go through again in my life, and I did go through them.
Amen.
I learned that I didn't surrender to them. I didn't let them own. Definitely.
Yep.
Awesome.
Huge.
I'm loving these points so far. What else you got for us?
Okay, so I think another thing that is kind of obvious, and yet it's worth reminding. Like, how do you start your day? And what I realize is when I get in a bad place, I start doing all these morning routines to get me in a good place. And then when I get in a good place, I stop doing the stuff that got me there. Right? Like, right? So what I realize is what are the handful of things I do every morning that make the biggest difference? So for me, like, the simplest thing that I do every morning is I write down like my 3 musts for the day, the 3 most important things to do. And then I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And like, as cheesy as that sounds, like, it's probably the cheesiest thing that's ever been said here. But like, I literally write down, like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? And I have to be like specific. Like, I don't get a wimp out and write the same thing down every day, right? And like, just writing those down helps get me in the right place. So I refocus on my goal. I write down what I'm grateful for. Usually I listen to something motivational, but I have several things that I do every single morning that guarantee I get in the right mindset. Does that make sense? So I don't like leave that up to chance. I have multiple things I go through that guarantee I'm going to be in the right chance, right? Because I'm coaching people all day long. I can't risk not being in a great place when I jump on the call with people, right? And I would mess them up if I wasn't. So I've got to have a morning routine that guarantees I'm in a great state before I get on those calls. Does that make sense? So like, what's your morning routine, and are you leaving it up to chance, or do you actually have something that guarantees you're in a great place? And I think that we all know that we should have something. And I think a big mistake people make is that they over try, right? So they go, I'm going to do these 17 things every single morning, right? And it's like, okay, like couch potato to like running 18 miles a day, maybe not happen. So like, start with a handful, right? Start with like 2 or 3 tiny little things, do those, and then build off of that. But I really do. I think that morning routine, it's kind of like a bumper in my life, right? Like, if you're going bowling with your kids, you put the bumpers up before you throw the ball. And I think in our life, we naturally drift if we don't have some bumpers in place. So for me, one of my bumpers is my morning routine. One of my bumpers is I have a coaching call, right, every week. One of my bumpers is, I review my week, but I've got several bumpers in my life that keep me from drifting too far. Right? Does that so like for you, I'm sure you have some things in your life that keep you from getting too weird.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And for me, I actually bookend my day. So I actually do 10 things I'm thankful for in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I can read through them.
You high achiever. Way to triple it. There you go. I'm going to have to up my goal here.
But then I read through them as I go to bed at night too. So I'm literally beginning and ending my day. And it's, the bulk of what you focus on expands. So as I'm waking up in gratitude, as I'm ending my day in gratitude, I know that by absolutely making that a huge focus in my life, I am going to be able to focus on and find so many things throughout my day to be thankful for. Yeah, I love it. No, I don't think it's cheesy. And I like what you said about, it's like from going, don't overdo it. It's like going from being a couch potato to running 18 miles a day. You're probably going to be so dang sore the next day after you try that, you're going to give up and not do it again. And so one of my mantras is that it's better to do something imperfectly than nothing flawlessly.
Right. Yes.
And so do at least something, even if it's not 10, write down 3 things you're thankful for, write down 1 thing you're thankful for, or just even think of something you're thankful for as you get up. Don't get stuck in this perfectionism that it absolutely must be as you have outlined it, because even if you do 80% work, I think it's in the 10X rule, he talks about how you 10X your goals. And even if you only get to 80% of your 10X goals, you're still way bigger than if you hadn't, so it's that whole same thing to shoot high. And even if you only aim up here, you're still going to end up higher than if you hadn't have shot for anything to begin with. So shoot
absolutely.
You're just going to do on a regular basis that's really just going to kickstart your day. And you and I can probably both agree that opening up your phone to Instagram or Facebook is not the best way to start your day, right?
Literally the worst way to start. Like literally, the worst. Absolutely. Yes. Yep. Well, and I think that leads to one of the things that I had written down was I think we blame the outside world so much for our distractions or our lack of focus or whatever. And so much of it is self-sabotage. Right? You picked up the phone, you let your notifications on your phone be loud all the day. You have, 100 applications, so much of what our distraction and everything else are they're self-induced. So it's don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Everybody goes, well, people keep walking by my office. I don't even care about that. Worry about all the things you're doing to self-sabotage before you even worry about everybody else. Right? So I think that's a big one. And I think we're so scattered and all over the place most of the time, and so fragmented that it's exhausting. Not choosing, especially in the morning, to do 2 or 3 things really well with a high level of focus. And I think some of us know this stuff. We just got to implement it little by little to really change our lives.
Well, and I think for the people out there, especially that have kids, for me, that's one of my biggest factors in what am I modeling for my kids. What do my kids see? My kids see me on social media all day long, every day. And then when they come to me, oh, well, this person said this and this person said that. And I'm like, oh, well, don't worry about what they say yet. I'm focused on social media and how many likes and comments my last post got.
Exactly. Yes.
That's not being very, very consistent in practicing what I do. So I actually did something, and it's been, honestly, for me personally, one of the best things that ever happened to me is I challenged my oldest daughter, she's 14 now, that we did a social media fast for 7 days. Did not get on social media at all. And I can tell you, that was in June. I think between then and now, so 9 months ago, I have done probably no more than 5 social media posts in that time. And don't get me wrong, for business, we utilize social media a lot, but actually people do that for me. I don't even do it. Yeah. I probably have opened up my social media accounts maybe 10 times in the last 9 months. And it has been the most liberating thing to me in the world. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but it's just,
here's a good way to think about it. What are you justify? What are you fighting to justify?
Right.
And I know there's times in my life I was fighting to justify not being more present with my kids.
Exactly.
Or I was fighting to justify to not get my health in better shape. Or I was justifying working, 80 hours a week when I probably knew I could do it in 60 if I was more focused. So a great question to ask yourself, if you really want to kind of measure yourself up, is really sit with that, and go, what am I fighting to justify right now? What am I kind of pretending not to know?
Yeah, exactly. Or procrastinating doing.
Yeah.
I learned because how often of us, how many sit at a stoplight and flip open their social media? Instead, I have retrained myself to open up my CRM and look at my CRM website activity and reach out to those people instead. I can reach out to 2 or 3 leads that have been active on my website in the same amount of time I could have scrolled through my Instagram feed.
Yes. We're using things like social media to justify not doing the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I'm networking, I'm connecting with people, I'm staying in touch, whatever it is. And really all you're doing is you're justifying not having to do what you know you should be doing. Calling the lead, doing the appointment, educating yourself, whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I love it. Awesome. What else do you have for us?
All right, here's what I think is the big one, and I think this wraps up several of the ones I have written down. But I want to kind of pull it all together. And I think this is a huge one. And actually, I wrote a whole book on this, right? The art of getting back up. I think a huge one is your recovery time. How long does it take you to get back up? What is your recovery time? What's your recovery plan? And here's what I realized. One of the reasons I wrote the book was because I realized in our physical world, we have all these recovery plans, right? Like if you ever got locked out of your house, right? And like the kids are screaming and all this stuff's going on, right? It takes 3 hours to get a locksmith there. It costs you $7,000, right? You go through all this drama, right? What do you do immediately? You go get a hide key, you give a key to the neighbor, like you do something because you go, I'm never going to get locked out of my house for 3 hours again. I'm going to do something. And my whole philosophy is we do this in our physical world. We have a spare tire. Most of us have like a first aid kit somewhere in the house. Like we have a spare key. Like we do all these things in our physical world, but in our mental world, we don't have very many spare keys. Like we don't have a hide key in our mental world for how do I get back up? And we, especially as high achievers, I think we have these moments that kind of kick our butt, and then we go, all right, I'm just going to work harder next time, or I'm just going to be more focused, whatever. We don't actually have a plan. And when I'm working with my clients, it's like, I'm not trying to foretell terrible things, but I'm going like, you're going to have some stuff happen this year that's going to hurt and it's going to be painful. You're going to have some stuff you need to recover from. Your recovery time is one of the biggest differentiators between an incredible high achiever and somebody that's kind of average in the middle. Right now, even, I look at hockey teams because I grew up in Canada, and I look at, like, you could have the greatest hockey player ever, but if it took him 20 minutes to recover from a 45-second shift, I don't care how good he is, he's not going to make the team. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to recover. And I look at high achievers the same way. Do you have effective strategies to recover quickly? And I think that's a big thing, because you're going to have rock down, those kind of face down moments, but do you have effective plans to get back up? So I think if you want to stay in momentum, if you want to get back up, you've got to be able to articulate what your plan is to get back up. You got to have some tools in that tool bag, so you can emotionally kind of get back up. And there's a thing that I look at often, and I'll throw it up here if that works. Let's see if I can share it. There we go. All right. So like I look at this a lot of times, right? Like on the left-hand side, I think it's left to you, but like is intelligent, focused, aware, relentless, confident, driven. Like that's when I'm a badass, right? On the left-hand side, like I am in the zone. I'm in momentum. Like there ain't no wall that can stop me. Then 3 deals fall apart, and they fell apart at the same moment. And then I get a little tilted, right? Or a seller calls me and rips me, or like something happens and I get tilted. And then all of a sudden I go to this other side, which is like aggressive, arrogant, obsessive, sensitive, cutthroat, conceited, irrational, paranoid, like all this. Maybe it's just me, but like I can get tilted. And when I see so many high achievers, like this is the representation of the tilted side, right? And then all of a sudden we start showing up this way. And it's not because you're broken, it's because you got tilted and you don't have an effective road back. So my whole philosophy is like, how do I help people build our bridge back so they spend less and less and less time here? Does that land?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, because failure is not getting knocked down. Failure is how long you stay down.
Yeah.
Failure is, letting that, I would call it that human condition side, that column that you showed of, kind of the bad side of us, letting that human condition side own you, and how long you let it own you, because let's be real, we all are human, we all have imperfection, so it's just a matter of how long do you stay on that side with the human condition.
Yes.
And how do you get back out? And like for me, I automatically go to my endurance sports. Like I was telling you, I do Ironman triathlons. And I have learned, for me, my fastest recovery time is actually if I go for a run a day or two after my race. I mean, I freaking just did 140.6 miles and I'm going running again 2 days later. Not because I feel like it, but because I've learned that's what breaks up the lactic acid the best. That's what gets the blood flow going again. That's what, and so if you can be on that human condition side, I'll call it, I'm not sure what you mean that calm, but if you can be on that side and do something to push yourself back to that side.
Yes.
I would love to learn more. I'm going to go check out your book about the art of getting
and like you said, like I think you need to have a plan to get back up, not just I'm going to try harder, I'm going to be more focused or whatever. It's a lot of these high achiever terms, you know? So I think it's critical. And I think that the other thing that a lot of my one-on-one clients, like they're all leading big teams and they're all dealing with big, awesome problems, whatever it is, but to help them realize like they're not crazy, like they're just tilted, right? So when they start feeling or this stuff showing up, it's not like I'm broken or something's wrong with you. It's like, hey, you're tilted. And they begin to have awareness and they implement the tools to get back up. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, for me, a big goal is not to never get tilted. Like I'm going to get tilted. I'm going to have days where stuff triggers me. You know, my kid's sick. Somebody gives me a parking spot. Like who knows what? Like all these bad things happen, right? Get tickets and all this stuff, right? I'm going to get tilted. But how fast can I get back up? And I think it's like, you know, analogy of like if you can imagine like a car at the top of a hill, and the car starts to roll and it's going down the hill, right? Like if you try to stop that car when it's halfway down the hill, like it's going to catch you. You're not stopping the car, right? So, but at the top of the hill, if you caught that car just started to roll, you could reach out one hand and stop it. So the goal isn't to like never get tilted. The goal is, can I catch the car closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the top of the hill and get faster and faster and faster recovering. So I think that's a big thing for this year. If you want to have an incredible year where you stay in momentum, you develop a couple of strategies to recover really quick. And I'll send out the questions I use, but I have like a list of like 10 questions I ask myself to like help myself recover. And that's just part of my process.
I love it. I love it because it's not if we're going to stumble, because let's be real.
Exactly.
Willpower does not exist 100% of the time.
No.
It does not exist 24 hours of the day. But it's like you're saying, if you can catch yourself sooner and sooner to recover, don't fall down the hill. Don't fall into that trap of the human condition. Catch yourself sooner and sooner I'm super excited to see this list that will help us revert back to that top of the hill and where we know we can be.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, I think this has been awesome. I really hope people get a ton of value out of this. I know I have gotten a lot of value out of it. So I appreciate your time and you being in our group. And how can people reach out to you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, reach out to me on Facebook. Send me a message on Facebook, just Wayne Salmans, or go to theheronation.com, and that's got a lot of great information too. You know, about working with high achievers, helping them become their own hero and live the life they want to have. Right, build scalable businesses and phenomenal lives at the same time. So having fun, helping amazing people.
Awesome, definitely looking forward to it. Well, thanks for being here today. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. It was fun to chat with you.
Thank you for having me on here, my friend.
No problem. Thanks for being here, LCA. Post comments, like, share this with people. We love having awesome people like this on our group, and just look forward to having a good year with everybody.